Oh hey, so you hear about it all the time. You even wondered how you're gonna go about getting it. You have a vague idea of what it is, but do you really? That is until you're ready to make your new masterpiece. Film coverage. What is it and how do we go about getting it? Let's find out. Coming from a non-traditional film background, I've definitely found myself in situations where I've been like, yeah, scratching my head. So in this video, let's walk through film coverage and how we go about getting it. Welcome back to the channel. My name's Dwayne Valentino, cinematographer, director cinematographer, both roles. How y'all feeling? Fresh? All right, let's see if we can make you feel a little more fresher. Sometimes you hear about it, but coverage for film and video production are pretty much the same thing. We are essentially capturing a variety of shots, camera angles, and movement in order to capture a scene or a moment in time. That moment could also mean like live performances, things like this. So you'll hear coverage being used in that context as well. You're basically bringing attention to something. You can think of it like jigsaw pieces that you're pulling back to create this scene or this moment in time. So right now, we're going to break this down like chapters from a book. And I'm going to do it in 4, no less. Chapter 1, Through the Looking Glass. Now, coverage is learning the types of shots, camera angles, and movement that you can use in order to capture your moment or your scene.
You're looking
like here, the classic over-the-shoulder shot, commonly referred to as OTS.
become a penologist.
So, as you can see, coverage consists of the variety of shots, the angle of the camera that is placed in, and the movement. But they all must obey the 180-degree rule. Rules are meant to be broken sometimes. The 180-degree rule or line of action. The 180-degree rule exists not to confuse the audience, us being the audience, with the character's spatial relationship to each other. And this keeps a sense of visual continuity. Let's break down what this means. To illustrate, I'm going to take the classic top-down diagram view and use a scene from a short film I shot a little while ago.
Happy anniversary, babe.
2 years already.
It's gone so fast.
I know. I'm looking forward to more.
Once this is established, we only shoot from behind this line. Examples like this or this usually result in a triangular method of filming. What happens when there's more than 2 people in a scene, I hear you ask? Well, eyeline, eyeline, eyeline. This will inevitably save you. It certainly has done me. Let's take, for instance, the dinner table scene that you see in a lot of movies. A long day for the actors because of all the coverage involved. Generally speaking, I wouldn't try and break it. Now, there has been instances where filmmakers have broken this rule, but I think when you're starting out in your journey, I think it's probably best not to really try and break something as foundational as this, at least in the earlier stages, and then you can have artistic license at some point. So, breaking it down will be our next chapter. How to eat an elephant. Bit by bit, of course. Is there a right way to shoot film coverage? Conventionally speaking, yes. But as the filmmaker, you can be subjective in the way you go about obtaining your film coverage, especially when it comes to certain scenes. So, for instance, check this scene out. By the great Steve McQueen with his debut film. Great scene, and it was talked about a lot. So, when we think about film coverage, yes, there's a conventional approach. But if your scene requires a little something less conventional because it's trying to give more of an impact emotionally, or you're trying to give more information, then don't be a slave to the convention. Coverage is usually decided by the director and the director of photography. They usually plan beforehand to come up with the best way in which to shoot a scene, and therefore the movie, whether it's constructed of many scenes. However, the caveat to this is film blocking. You've heard this term quite a few times, and it's more to do with the narrative world, and it's essentially when you have actors on set, you want them to interact with their space, so they might naturally make decisions with their characters and move in certain ways that you have to then account for. So your film coverage needs to account for that, and you will use all what's at your disposal. You'll use your shots, and you'll use your camera movement and angles in which to best capture their performance. Breaking it down will be our next chapter. Chapter 4. Different paths can take one to the same goal. We've looked at what is film coverage. We've looked at ways of getting it, because there's a few more methods that we can take a look at. This is a bonus chapter because we're going to look at the 4 types of coverage within cinematography. The master scene method. This is more conventional. This is about the shooting the wide, getting all of the action or the scene in the wide, and then getting closer to your mediums. So whether you require all the mediums to then tell more of a personal relationship of space with the actors, and then the close-ups for the pure emotion. And this is the master scene method. The overlapping method. This is more of a bit by bit sort of breakdown of coverage. So you'll get your master and you won't play out the whole scene because maybe there's something that happens where a prop is being used and it's only you've got it for one time. So this is budget dependent. So then you quickly at the next stage within the scene go to your medium. So the story's moved on, so you'll quickly pick up on your medium, and then again if you need to then get the close-up, you would then run in, punch it from that moment in the story and get your close-up. I think Robert Rodriguez done something like this, his first film, El Mariachi. Then you have the in-one method, or the oneer as I like to refer to it. So this is essentially a big orchestration of the scene. This is you orchestrating the whole scene and having the actors know that they're just going to run straight through, and you are capturing all of the action in one take. What comes to mind? Children of Men, the opening scene. That's an in-one method. The whole thing is orchestrated from one whole run through of the scene, and we're just essentially following. Very documentarian. We need to understand that your film coverage is also related to your film's budget, whether long or short form, short being commercials and such like. What we need to cover is time dependent and budget dependent. Good film coverage establishes your scene and helps draw you, the audience, into the emotionality of the moment and the story being told. That's the key takeaway about film coverage. We most importantly want to establish the emotionality of the scene or the moment. So there you have it. A back to basics, stripped down look at film coverage. What are the key takeaways? Key takeaway is film coverage is as much to do with budget as it is to do with time and the camera and the movements you use. Not all coverage is good coverage. We must discern between what is good and what is needed to tell our story. What do you think? Now that you understand how you go about getting it and what it is, you know what you need to do next? Yes, that's right. You need to make a shot list. And I have a video for that. Check it out. Remember guys, this filmmaking journey is not too late, and peace out.